Existential emotions tend to be emotions that complexify our existence in relation to these philosophical, thoughtful meditations which require us to grasp aspects that are universalizing to our existence, but also which at the core of it come to two deep philosophical quests that pertain directly to the nature of our individuated consciousness that is individually different and pertains to these physical structures with endowed intrinsic meaning and information within the epigenome that lay dormant the potential for ourselves as individuals in relation to what's actually possible for us and can be realized within the world and the environment through awakening the dormant information and potentials within us that are often of greatest concern to our direct ponderances and interests, and where our minds tend to wander and wander occasionally and with some degree of consistency and frequency, which itself should allure a great amount of fascination and mystery into the self. That is where we are to find the greatest fulfillment, and also the enterprisings that will bring about the greatest reward that is more intrinsically rewarding than it is externally or influenced by something superficial, because it's bound deeply to us as individuals and what is directly involved in that meaningful process, as well as the ways of obtaining it that can't easily be gamed because it's part of a physical structure that when you're operating in a particular configuration, there's a specific sequence of emotions that cascade and operate in that specific way, which characterizes this journey of emotion, and a journey of emotion that's yours and intrinsically yours if you base it in you and through the recognition and realization of that information that calls out not necessarily just within you, but which is resonant to that dormant meaning process that the environment often calls out of us, or through our interest in our engagement in the surrounding world, in which there are these physical and object laws. When we come into contact with them and we truly grasp the matters that are of most, which tend to energize us the most and captivate our interests and allure us, not just allure us, but they tend to, without any effort, get us to think almost constantly and to trouble ourselves over a particular set of interests or engagements because they matter to us and they're meaningful and they have some sense of purpose that they endow. Otherwise we would not be engaging in those behaviors or concerning ourselves in any which way with a particular set of matters that are pressing to us and most likely individually different from others. And if we were to go and investigate that, we would probably soon discover that that is the case, that other people have their own interests and interests that we might not find to be as interesting, or we might find to be interesting but for a different set of reasons. And this is what allows us to develop greater insight and cognizance into individuality in particular, and understanding of individual differences through this. And in doing so, we also understand ourselves in relation to that, and our own existence and the natures of our own existence, which is deeply bound to this existential journeying and engaging with things that primarily start with our concerns and locating the specific individual differences in relation to those concerns that allow us to distinguish and describe in a well thought out manner and approach particularly the reasons why it's of concern and pressing importance to us as individuals, and why whatever it is meaningful to us as individuals or purposeful for us to direct our courses in a particular direction, in which we could have chose some other direction, but instead we chose a particular way or course of moving and proceeding forward in the future rather than another course. And the emotions and direct quality of our experience associated with that is ultimately how we can infer the degree to which something is meaningful to us or meaningless to us, whether or not it has a sense of worth or even an associated sense of purpose it gives us through our engaging in it and our interest in it, that becomes evident not just to the self, but it can be exemplified in others and really inspire others if we're truly engaged and interested, and we can engage with our sense of purpose, and we express our sense of purpose often through self-expressions of passion or simple immersion in an activity, and losing sense of the surroundings, such as when we're deeply engaged or interested in anything. And it's often through interest that we understand and can recognize the nature of purpose, because purpose is future oriented and it requires us to focus in on particular sets of tasks and informations that have a functional characteristics. And when we're interested in something, there's a tendency to become curious. Well, why is this doing that? And that question itself assumes a purpose, right? What's the functionality to X? And when we start to think in that way, we start to exercise the innovative circuitry of our nervous system that involves a cognitive, a behavioral, and an environmental component. And we're very much engaging in this psychological stimulation that allows us to model out potential behaviors and in ways of engaging with physical aspects in our surrounds that allows us to innovate and think more creatively, but do so with a deeper sense of purpose that we embody and express through our own existential and individual solitary efforts that are strive forwards, and which excel and exemplify the works of great thinkers, often through our direct experiences that come from our preliminary first steps and mindings of our own. So that's all I want to say for that video. Bye.